But the point is that you cannot convince me that Nana Akufo-Addo's governance has exhibited poor leadership. You cannot convince me because the facts don't support what you are saying. If you are talking about incompetence, it is not about Nana Akufo-Addo's administration. Rather, your administration that was headed by John Dramani Mahama. I want to ask my brother some few questions. First, is it not true that when we took over power on the 7th of January 2017, between 2017 and 2019, we recorded trade surpluses on each year. 3 consecutive trade surpluses between 2017 and 19. Is it not true? Is it not also true that we were able to record positive prime balances from 2017 to 2019? Is it not true? Is it not also true that we were able to grow the economy averagely by 7% between 2017 and 2019? Further, is it not true? It is also not true that between 2013 and 16, you grew the economy averagely by 2.8%. It is not true, fellas. Fellas, is it not true that when we took over, interest rates, Bank of Ghana policy rates, about 25.5%. Is it not true that we were able to bring it down to as low as 14.5% before, even as of last year? Fellas, is it not true that when we took over between 2017 and 2019, the currency depreciated by 8.7%? Is it not true that under your tenure between 2013 and 2016, the city depreciated by about 18%? Is it not true? Because see, we in government has admitted that we are in difficult, trying moments. And fellas, my good friend, in his heart of hearts, knows that what we are going through is not because we have mismanaged the economy. As we did say, we are being affected and pushed by exogenous factors. And I want my brother to mention 5 countries in the world that have not experienced devastating economic consequences since 2019. This is the facts. US of A, UK, the advanced economies, even they are struggling. You see, they are battling with inflation. They are battling with high cost of foodstuff, goods and services. Unemployment is an issue. Currencies are not doing well. As we speak, the only currency in the world that is doing so well, that has gained strength as compared to other currencies, is the US dollars. And that is a fact. He cannot dispute that. Every currency is not doing well.
There's not a single person on this earth who can tell anybody in Ghana that times are better now than it was when President Akufo-Addo took over. So I think Dr. Nyako and his colleagues must refrain from that. When you do that, you are rubbing salt in the injuries of Ghanaians. And there's a lot of anger in the system that you must gauge in your public pronouncements. You see, they speak as if the NPP was elected to do a mandate between 2017 and 2019. For crying out loud, you are in your 6th year. So your governance did not stop in 2019. In any event, Akwesi, every indicator shows that by 2018, you have started mismanaging this economy. And if you want to see how an economy is mismanaged, you look at the deficit. Essentially, it's about your expenditure and your revenue. You started squandering the money given you on frivolous expenditure. When you finished, you lied about it through your teeth. Told lies. You wanted to hide the fact that you were mismanaging the economy by concealing some expenditure items so that you don't disclose it until you were exposed. When you took other documents to the IMF, which disclosed the true figure, and came to Parliament to lie, that in 3 years successively, you had kept the deficit under 5%, when indeed it was above 7%. And you see, I would ask Dr. Nyako to refrain from reciting macroeconomic indicators. There's not a single one of those indicators that is not worse today than it was under President Mahama.
GDP.
What GDP? You have done GDP of 0.4%. You are not shy. Please, Doc, when you were speaking, I kept quiet.
What's the figure now?
I kept quiet, Doc.
Go ahead.
And Doc, you are an academic. Anybody who takes only one indicator out of 18 to do an you see, anybody who takes one indicator. I beg your pardon. Anybody who takes one.
He should do a trend analysis, you mean?
It's not just a trend analysis. If you take one out of 18 indicators used to assess an economy and tell that one is good, but every 18 days is bad, but you've done better, you are not being fair. You understand me? You are not being fair to yourself. You are held in high esteem. You see, your qualification is such that people believe that you appreciate the importance of data. The highest GDP we have had under the Fourth Republic was 14.4%, achieved under an NDC government.
2014.
That is the highest. The lowest GDP we've had is 0.4, achieved under Akufo-Addo. That closes the argument. Indeed, before oil was discovered, before oil production started, in 2010, we grew by above 8%. Even in 2012, we grew by 9.2%. In 2013, we grew by 7.2%. The highest we've had is 8.1%. So your GDP comparison is a joke. If you do a trend analysis, if you do an average GDP calculation, we grew averagely at 6% over 8 years. You have had 0.4% in 2020, and you are happy to gloat about it on national television. Our lowest was about 2.5%. Your lowest was 0.4%. The worst in the history of the Fourth Republic. So it is nothing to gloat about. Akwesi, I will go to the rest of the 18. The deficit we left them was 6.1% in 2016. They have racked up deficit of 17% in 2020. What is the interest rate today? Above 35%. What did we leave them? It was below 30%. Inflation for October is 40.4%. When they came, inflation was 15.4%. If you read Kaluforiata's first budget, it was 15.4. Today it is 40.4. The exchange rate, in 10 months, the cedi has plummeted by 54%, making it the worst performing currency in the world. How do you sit here and compare this to what happened in 2014, which was nowhere near what we are having today? Our public debt was 120 billion when Kaluforiata, Alhaji Bawumia, and Akufo-Addo were going around bastardizing the government. Our debt to GDP ratio was 56% in 2016 when we were bastardizing the government. Today, our debt is 500 billion, almost 4 times what you came to inherit. Depreciation of the currency alone has contributed 100 billion Ghana cedis to that amount. Only 2 weeks ago, in this very budget that Dr. Nyako has, Kaluforiata lied that our debt to GDP ratio was 76%.
He didn't lie.
So he was telling the truth. Today, they themselves now admit that it is 105%. Because you see, for 3 years, we have been telling them that they have been concealing the true figures. They were hiding debts in SOEs. They were hiding debts accruing through contingent liabilities. And they were hiding debts that were on the books of dodgy SPVs that they created. We told them that you needed to add it in order to come to a true conclusion about your debt. But they thought they were smart. As we say in Akan, today they have been caught red-handed, pants down, because the IMF has insisted that they do a DSA. And I'm sure you heard earlier in this week about the interaction they had with bankers, where directors at the finance ministry were publicly disclosing that indeed our debt to GDP ratio is 105%. How do you sit on television as an academic and tell me that a debt to GDP ratio of 56% in 2016 is worse than this one, and that you were better now? I mean, how do you make such analysis? How can you even look people in the eye and say this? Which indicator, check their primary balance that he makes noise about. In the budget, they projected that in the first 3 quarters, they will make a primary balance of 1%. Kaluforiata disclosed that is actually 2.7%. Primary balance. That is the difference between your expenditure and revenue minus interest payments. Look at the amount of interest you pay. Indeed, by the first half of this year, they were spending 83% of tax revenue to service debts. This year alone, they will spend close to 60 billion servicing debts. We were spending 11 billion in 2016 servicing debt, and Kaluforiata was disparaging the finance minister at the time. Today, he is finance minister. He is spending 83% of tax revenue to service debt, and you say that he has performed well, and that President Akufo-Addo cares about us. You care about us, and you plunge us into the worst economic crisis in our history. And he said, let him stop that baseless comparison with countries in the West. Inflation in UK is not 40.4%. They are nowhere near the economic disaster you have imposed on the people of Ghana. There's none of our neighbors, even politically unstable Burkina Faso, does not have inflation anywhere close to 40%. You have it. Cote d'Ivoire doesn't have it. Cote d'Ivoire has inflation below 10%. Benin, Togo, war-ravaged Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, that is under military dictatorship, does not have inflation around 40%. And it was not COVID that caused this disaster. Check their budgets. It is unbridled borrowing. Your belief that you can borrow and hide it, spend on frivolous expenditure. Look, and I speak about disrespect all the time. I'm going to check this budget. At a time when Ghanaians have voiced disapproval of frivolous expenditure, like spending on a needless national cathedral, trying to harvest religious fundamentalism for political reasons, you go and put in a budget that you spend an additional 80 million Ghana cedis on that project. You bring the total expenditure to 400 million. Meanwhile, and he was not too long ago in the education sector. For 3 years straight, you could not print textbooks for basic school pupils. As I speak, there are food shortages in senior high schools. Children are eating food which, with the greatest respect, some homes will not feed to their dogs. You cannot pay contractors. You have over 40 to 50 billion Ghana cedis in debt owed to contractors. We will come to the haircuts. People's lifetime investments, you have taken away from them in the name of haircuts. Yes, I'm not going to talk about it substantively. It means that you are in such hard times, okay, that you can't pay people money that you owe them. You take 80 million and go and invest in a needless cathedral. When you finish, you tell me that you care about the people of Ghana. A man who cares about the people of Ghana does not deliver this terrible governance. And I would say, without fear of equivocation, that President Akufo-Addo has been the worst president we've had in this history. And you see, when he mentions President Mahama, look, there's not a single metric that President Akufo-Addo beats Mahama on. He read extra from President Mahama's speech, right? And you see, he didn't know that he was exposing himself and the hollowness of the NPP argument. They go about saying that this is the first time we've had exogenous shocks. Yet he read to you the hit that we took when oil prices plummeted. Since they came to power, they have received this year, by the close of this year, they will have received close to 20 billion Ghana cedis in oil revenue. President Mahama did not have half of that. Go and check the amount of taxes they collected. By the close of this year, if you put all the resources they received together, it will amount to about 600 billion Ghana cedis. Ghanaians have been patient enough to give you this sort of money. And he speaks about doing so. You see, what he does not know is that the IPPs have been very magnanimous with you. You owe them $1 billion, which in today's terms is about 15 billion Ghana cedis. And what did you do really to improve them so? What role did Akufo-Addo play in the establishment of the Ghana gas plant, which has saved us $300 million of fuel imports? What role did you play? What role did you play in bringing Ameri? Today, they are saying that you will take Ameri to the Ashanti region, your stronghold. What role did you play? Car power, which helped resolve the crisis. What role did you play? Let him show me 1 megawatt that Akufo-Addo has organically added to what he came to meet. Then I will applaud him for helping resolve Doomsday. Why? When we came to power, was there not Doomsday under President Akufo? It came to a head under President. And you see, that is the difference between President Mahama and Akufo-Addo. President Mahama took responsibility. That's Akufo-Addo. He rides away from responsibility like a plague. After mismanaging the economy, he says we should go and blame COVID. Meanwhile, COVID did not bypass every country and come to Ghana. He should tell me how many countries he knows have done the haircuts, the terrible haircuts that they've done this week. How many countries do you know who have done the terrible? The last time a country did it was in Greece.
But the point is that you cannot convince me that Nana Akufo-Addo's governance has exhibited poor leadership. You cannot convince me because the facts don't support what you are saying. If you are talking about incompetence, it is not about Nana Akufo-Addo's administration. Rather, your administration that was headed by John Dramani Mahama. I want to ask my brother some few questions. First, is it not true that when we took over power on the 7th of January 2017, between 2017 and 2019, we recorded trade surpluses on each year? 3 consecutive trade surpluses between 2017 and 19. Is it not true? Is it not also true that we were able to record positive prime balances from 2017 to 2019? Is it not true? Is it not also true that we were able to grow the economy averagely by 7% between 2017 and 2019? Further, is it not true? It's also not true that between 2013 and 16, you grew the economy averagely by 2.8%. It's not true, fellas. Fellas, is it not true that when we took over, interest rates, Bank of Ghana policy rates, about 25.5%. It's not true that we were able to bring it down to as low as 14.5%.